welcome to RevCast, a Civilization podcast focused on its console platforms.
I'm Joe B. Reeves.
Grayson.
L. Thrasher.
Who wants to do the intro anyway? I think I did it last time.
Go for it. You're the French guy.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good. Why don't you do it in bilingual?
Yeah, you want me to do it?
Yeah!
Bienvenue on RevCast.
I'm regular co-host Grayson, and I'm joined by Joe B. Reeves.
Hi.
And L. Thrasher.
Hey, what's up?
Oh boy. So what we got going on this week? We got
Fan mail.
fan mail. We have a fan mail.
You can only pick one.
We had piles of them, and we had to filter down to one because we only had so much time. But keep sending that fan mail. We love getting that one. A question about luck. It's from Jesus Gonzalez, sent via email. I was wondering if you guys could talk about the luck in this game. I know the game takes skill and experience to win, but luck also comes into play when going for a victory. I'm talking about finding the right artifacts, getting the right people at the right time, having good map locations, getting enough barbs to reach your 100G settler, walking into the right tiles, giving you exploration, cash, those types of things. Thank you. And he underlined and flashing text on this part. He said, I really enjoy listening to the RevCast. So, I mean, we have our fam.
Yeah, this is for you, Jesus.
Luck absolutely has a part to play in the game, in my opinion, but for the more experienced players, especially online players, I think could be a better perspective.
I would agree that luck is important in the game. You can start on a 5-tile island, or you can start right next to the stupid AI English who will let you walk a warrior right into London and get a nice city and get monarchy. I mean... You can also start right next to a barb that gives you a galley and shows you the way to the 7 cities of gold. You can be playing Germans and start basically in the middle of the desert with no trees anywhere, except for the 2 that you're guaranteed. So yeah, luck is a huge aspect in the game, but part of becoming a better or more experienced player is finding ways to leverage that luck into the win, because you can kind of make your own luck.
I think a lot of people focus on luck and just the randomness of the game. Some people get very disgusted by it. And lots of people chime in on the forums and say, oh, well, they don't usually want to admit a strategic defeat. They'll say, oh, well, you know, I lost that battle with favorable odds, or you found all the artifacts. Yes, there's sometimes in the game where you can't do anything about it. And then other games, you just roll in the cash, roll in everything, and you feel like, well, I must be doing something right. That must be because of me, but I like the luck aspect of the game. I think it keeps it fresh. I think it keeps it exciting. If it was all strictly numbers, if the higher number won every time, or if it was everybody got an equal start, yeah, that might be cool to play once or twice, but just never knowing what's around the corner is really great. I like the big swings in the game, down and out, but all of a sudden you get a great artist and you flip one of their best cities, and then all of a sudden the tides turn and you got them on the ropes. That keeps the game fresh for me, and I really like it. I think L. Thrasher is right that luck does play a role, but as he said, you have to learn how to leverage that luck. If a newer player finds the 7 cities of gold against me, I'm not usually sweating too much until I see what they can do with it. If it's 10 turns later and I haven't even seen them do anything with it, I'm not going to be too worried. But if L. Thrasher gets the 7 cities of gold against me in the first 10 turns, I can go ahead and say my prayers because I have little chance of winning that game.
Oh, shucks.
We've had that happen several times in games between us or games between our friends who play on a similar level.
Yeah.
And that can be a big deciding factor. It kind of sucks sometimes, but it's also fun to try to learn how to play from behind.
Yeah.
Play enough games, luck's going to pay you back too, so.
Oh, yeah. It's always a hot button issue. Some people really think that the game is totally about luck to the point where it really takes a strategy out of it. But I think it fits in well with what Sid wanted to do with this game, which is have just tons of bonuses. Try to make every Civ overpowered. Try to just have a bunch of big swings in the game. And I don't think this game was built on balance. I think it was built on imbalance. So he had to add a lot of lucky stuff in the game.
That makes sense. I mean, one of the common threads that you hear from, at least on the PC side, you hear the pikeman versus tank argument where
Oh yeah, we got the same thing.
1 out of a million times, and it does happen, that you get a tank taken down by a pikeman or a pikeman army. I've had it happen to me quite a few times also, especially in the Civ Rev game. You got the attack and the defense, and sometimes the numbers are really against you. You do make your own luck to a point, but if you can really barrage with spies and just really get lucky and pull that great person out of there, out of the other lands, out of the other cities, that completely swings the game.
Yes, true.
That's the only time I really hold my breath. I'm going to dump a bunch of spies.
The odds in battle, touching on pikemen, your tanks versus pikemen battle might be something on the order of 45 to 18. I think some people feel like 45 to 18 means 45 should always win. It's 27 better. That's not what the game's designed to do. The game is designed for tanks to usually win and pikemen to sometimes win. And that's just the way the game is designed. So if you're putting everything on one tank army, and that one tank army is going to make or break your game, you might lose.
That it would be making your own luck then. I mean, absolutely making your own luck at that point.
Well, what you do to make your own luck is you bring 10 tank armies.
Yeah.
Right.
So what if I lost the first one?
Yeah, then you don't have to be lucky at all.
I think that one of the biggest lucky factors in the game, one of the biggest random factors in the game is great people. They pop up in the game after you reach your cultural milestones, and you don't know which one you're going to get. There are ways to influence it, and we'll probably talk about it in just a minute when we talk about France.
We're not talking about France yet. We got to introduce them. It's going to be a surprise.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Somebody's going to speak French.
I like the lucky aspect. You know, sometimes if I'm just down in a game and I'm about to quit on an online game and I see that, oh, well, I'm 5 more turns away from getting a great person, well, I'll wait that out and see what I can do with that. Kind of gives you something to hope for.
I can recall a game I was hopelessly behind as Germany, and I had a great person coming up, so I hung out for it, and it was a great leader.
Oh, gosh.
As Germany basically means that I can make a bunch of cheap units, then research and advanced technology. It can be worth it.
So luck does play a part. Huzzah.
Yep. I hope that answers your question, Jesus. If not, write us back, because we'd love to hear from you again.
Let's talk about our Better Know a Civ. We talk about general information about the civilization, the strengths and weaknesses, some of the bonuses that it gets based on eras, just based on starting out. We talk about how to win with the Civ, the initial game, the mid-game, and the end game, and how to beat the same Civ if you're trying to go up against the French in the initial game, the mid-game, and the end game.
What Civ do we have this time?
Anybody want to speak up and say what Civ it is?
La France.
La France!
Oui.
The first bonus is that you are represented by Napoleon, who climbs up on a stepladder to threaten the other civilizations. Probably the best thing about the French. They also get to start with an impressive cathedral, which takes your population of your capital, Paris, multiplies it by 2, and you get that much cultural region.
Now, for an offline player like myself, an isolationist player like myself, that is beautiful because I do culture bombs.
That was pretty good. There's nothing else like that. Starting off with 4,000 BC, you get 6 culture because your population doubles, so that's 4. And then you get 2 more population from your palace.
Yep.
You get your first great person somewhere between 2500 BC to 2000 BC. That's a solid 20 turns before most people.
It's an easy way to flip a city as opposed to go to war. And I've done that before. I've flipped 2 cities in very short order, one based on culture and one based on a great person. Talk about luck.
Yeah. The cathedral's a good bonus. You do have to be careful that nobody comes along with a spy and destroys it. The AI will never do that because it doesn't know how, but other players will eagerly do that to you because it takes away your best bonus.
Yep.
The other starting bonus is knowledge of pottery, which is really not in the league of the Arabs start with religion, the English start with monarchy, Spanish start with navigation, etc., etc. But it's not bad. It means that you get to medieval faster. You only have to research 4 more technologies. Many players believe and have demonstrated evidence that you can use your knowledge of pottery to try to influence your first great person to be a great builder.
You start with pottery, and pottery is a prerequisite for masonry. Masonry, if you're first to research it, it gives you a free. That's great. It's good for early defense. What some people don't know is that your great people are partly influenced by what tech you have last researched whenever you reach a cultural milestone. It's not 100%. It's just influenced. It just makes it more likely you'll get it. But with your first great person, it seems like it's pretty much 100%. If you research pottery and then masonry with the French and have no other texts at around 2500 BC to 2000 BC, you will get a great builder, which is what you want. Pretty much the best great person you can have. I've tested this over and over again. I didn't believe it at first, but I mean, it's 100% of the time. So that's the route I usually go. I find this the most powerful route to do. I tend to build either the Great Wall, which will basically have everybody be at peace with you until it obsoletes with engineering, which is pretty far into the game. So you can basically just expand out with a bunch of empty cities or do whatever you want and not worry about being at war with anybody. So that keeps you safe for quite a while.
If you're playing either single player or you're playing online and there's an AI, a really great thing to do when you have the Great Wall is wait for it to send out settlers, and then you steal the settler and then immediately ask for peace. And the AI will always just give you peace right away, so you can just take whatever the heck you want and then have peace immediately. I've done that with the French a few times and gotten like 3 settlers off the AI. It's great.
Or you can build Colossus, which doubles the trade output in the city, which can be very powerful.
I don't tend to be really big on getting the Colossus right away unless there's a city that will have good growth, because really at that point you're putting double trade in a city that maybe has 2 population, and you might get then irrigation first, which would put it up to 3, but I don't know, it just doesn't seem like a huge boost at that stage in the game to me.
Sometimes I hold on to them and wait for East India Company for navigation, but I would say that I would rather do without pottery, even if it meant, I might not have a path to a great builder so consistently. Pottery is a 20 beater tech. It's very...
Yeah, it's not really that great, but...
It saves you 2 or 3 turns, and I've tried to figure out why is pottery... French known much for pottery.
Doesn't it unlock wine or something?
Yeah, it unlocks wine.
Oh. Right, so French like wine. They have good wine. I understand.
The one other one, Shakespeare's theater.
Oh, yes.
Doubles the culture in a city.
Yeah.
And I believe you unlock Shakespeare's theater with literacy.
It stays for quite a while, too, mass media.
You're doubling down on your culture. You got this cathedral, which by 20 or 30 turns into the game, you're making 15 to 20 culture a turn.
It also doubles your palace culture, Shakespeare's theater. So if you have Paris at like 6 population, you get 12 off the cathedral, and then you get 5 more for your palace culture, so that's 17, and then it's doubled, so you have 34.
Yep.
Right.
If you have a well-placed capital city, then the radius will just basically reach out and touch any city that's near it.
Right.
Unless you go and settle 20 cities, in which case your culture will tank. But
Yeah.
If you want to go for a cultural win, that's a pretty easy way to do it. My problem with doing that for the French, and really my philosophy with a lot of civs, is if they already start out with a really good strength, do you want to diversify and be more well-rounded, or do you want to just double down on what you're good at, whether it be tech, economy, or culture? Just building up more culture for already the best culture civ early on in the game might not always pan out. The French aren't the best techers. They don't make the most gold. They're not that great at expansion or domination until later on in the game, maybe. It's a pretty big risk if you're in a close game.
You talk about the financial aspect of the French, and the medieval bonus is actually something that costs you money. It's something that nobody really takes advantage of. I know they don't online. It's just the ability to construct roads at half price. So any financial benefit that you might get from that bonus is actually going to end up costing you cash from every angle.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of discussed this last week with the Aztecs as well. The half-cost roads bonus that you get in the medieval, it'd be great if it was in the ancient era, where movement really is key to get places. To either defend yourself or to attack, or get across the map, to expand better. But in the medieval era, roads are probably pretty low on your priority list.
And they're still expensive, half price or not, especially medieval.
And the cost inflates every era as well. And so I don't know what the road pricing system is, but I mean, it's probably pretty similar to what you would pay in the ancient era with the French anyway.
Yeah, it's probably something like that.
For more information about RevCast, Civ shows Polycast and Modcast, or about Polycast in general, log into the series' official website, polycast.net. Record date November 22nd, 2009.
Civilization Revolution Sounds clips copyright Take-Two Interactive.
Copyright 2009, Civilized Communication at civcom.net.
Waffen analu. Ook wakenstraf. Echom. Brother. Inf. Waffen analu. Ook wakenstrafen. Echom. Kat. Hoefwaf. Inf. Hoefwaf. Ook. Inf. Ook wakenstraf. Hoefwaffen analu. Hoefwaffen analu. Echom. Kat. Ook. Inf. Frank. Echom. Ook waken.
Oh, he ran.
Echom. Hoefwaffen analu. Ook wakenstrafen. Inf. Hoef. Inf. Hoefwaffen analu. Inf. sound. Ja. Oh, ook varkens. Kom, kijk. Oef, imf. Now sound. Quasi die laat die hoor. Echt gewoon vast. Daar zijn we. Echt goed. Opa, wat is dat?
Eti, etwo, etnik, Norris. Folikai.
Quasi niet. Quasi niet. Je verstaat. Kou, wat is dat? está haciendo? Está fra.
for.
Quasi die gladiator. Egon, echt op even staan. Opa,
Hooey.
Aquamdi.
Oh, wow.
Quasen. Echt goed.
Carabasar.
Quasen die laat die. Even staan. Echt goed. versteht? God. Wolf on. Kwasen die? Echt goed? Kwasen die? God.
Welcome to RevCast, a Civilization podcast focused on its console platforms.
I'm Toby Reeves.
Grayson.
El Thrasher?
Speak French.
Grayson told me he was fluent.
It's been a while.
Hey, swear in French.
What text would you say one should prioritize after Code of Laws with the French?
I tend to go for mathematics, for the catapults if I need the defense, but then also because it's a prerequisite for navigation. I like to get to the islands as quickly as possible. I find that getting to the islands with whales is one way to kind of offset France's kind of problem with teching. Island cities with whales will grow really fast, and those will become some of the best trade cities with gold designs. And that's one way to kind of get back into the tech game. It gets you around the map. It lets you meet other people, lets you know where your opponents are, and kind of keep out their defenses.
If you're lucky, you can get a second great builder. Now you got the East India Company.
I tend to go for that pretty early, as well as literacy, monarchy, and currency. And then after that, I'm looking for techs like engineering, steam power, invention, and on up to what would be their industrial bonus.
+2 cannon attack. I don't think I've ever really used cannons with the French.
I haven't either that much.
It's not a very good bonus.
It's not a great bonus. It seems like it would be, but it's so close to tanks. It's so close to combustion that
The tanks are just better, even if your cannons are at +2.
cannons move pretty slow. But I will say, if you're being attacked, one of the best things about this bonus is cannons will keep you safe. They're siege units, so you can counterattack with them and not move out of the cities. They're just like catapults or artillery. And they make it a lot easier to kill rushers coming at you. And you can kill tanks with these cannons.
They have a bad habit of getting wounded, even if they are winning by a lot.
Yeah.
That's the thing I don't like about them. So that's industrial. That's their great industrial bonus.
Yeah.
It's maybe more useful than the modern age bonus.
Oh, God. I mean, really? Is that bad? Well, yeah. I thought it was a +1 attack. It was actually movement.
Yeah, it's +1 movement for riflemen. It's so bad. Compared to, like, half-cost riflemen, this doesn't even compare.
Yeah, +1 movement for riflemen. While they can have a few tactical uses, they're going to be few and far between. Is this going to be a game changer? Contrast this with the Americans' triple production factories. You find yourself in a modern era game against the French versus the Americans. Who's going to win that one? You know, the one with the faster moving riflemen or triple production factories? I mean, it's a pretty bad bonus. Egyptians get it too. If it came earlier, if it came the industrial, it would actually be useful, sort of, because you could protect feudalism and then gunpowder, and then you could protect your knights with riflemen. But in the modern era, probably not coming with knights anymore. And you're probably not defending for that long in the modern era with riflemen either. You shouldn't be that far away from mass production, which will give you modern infantry in the modern era. It's not too far into the modern era that you should be able to get that. And just from a time aspect, it's not a great bonus.
Maybe one of the better things to do with riflemen is to escort spies. They can do a pretty good job of protecting spies, and they move just as fast as spies. But at that point, the real problem with fast riflemen or something like that is that you probably have cruiser fleets when you're in the modern age, and that's just a better way to move your units around. If you need to protect units with riflemen, you can put them on the cruiser fleet, then they move just as fast as the cruiser fleet.
That's kind of in a nutshell. You're looking at, we don't like the +1 rifleman movement, we don't like the +2 cannons, we don't like the half-price roads. So Joe started saying, well, they're so powerful, you know, we talked about this great ancient era, getting the great builder and talking about all the great things you can do with the wonder, but
I haven't heard anything else you can do.
no.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's why I've won with culture so many times with the French, because I've never really thought to try and play them any other way.
Right. And I think that's a good goal to use for them, to either play for the culture win. Pretty slow to do online. I don't recommend it so much for multiplayer, but I enjoy the cultural win more than any other win, just because you get to build all the wonders, and you get to see all the cool effects, so you get to flip cities, which is a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
You get to see your borders cover the whole map.
And sometimes you get dancing bears.
Yeah, and jugglers. And so, yeah, I don't know, it gives me a warm feeling inside. It's like, I'm doing something right, I got this. If you're going to be in a close fight, you need to be making the big differences early in the game. Much like the Aztecs, but you got to use culture instead of domination. We talked about last time, the Aztecs. You're not going to have anything great coming your way other than great people, for the rest of the game. You're going to have to work for everything you get compared to what other civs are getting for the rest of the game.
If I'm playing the French, I am trying to expand a lot and grab great technologies, and I'm going to get a few more great people than anyone else. And hopefully they will be the right great people that will give me a leg up in what I'm trying to do.
But I enjoy playing the French on single player actually a whole lot. It's just so that I don't, well, until recently I hadn't used a lot online. I've been playing the French a whole lot online now because they are the worst. And I enjoy seeing their emblem move higher and higher up on everybody else that's using the Zulu and the Aztec, Chinese and Americans. I think at number 13 right now with my French account. And so I'm pretty happy.
Cool.
We have a little contest on 2K forums about who's going to get the French into the top 10 first.
Oh, wow.
They're one of the few civs that have never been in the top 10 on any leaderboard for multiplayer. I think the Mongols might be the only other one. But I typically don't play how we talked about here. I tend to play I horse rush with them. I use tactics. I kind of win in a way that has nothing to do with the French. I just try to use battle tactics to beat other opponents. Sometimes it works, so if I run into somebody that's really good, they don't attack that well. Sometimes I get outdone. But that's kind of one of the few ways, other than getting the Great Wall and expanding like crazy. Those have been the only two successful ways I've used them online.
How many different ways can you attack or defend against the French?
If you find a spy from a hut and you can get it in and break the cathedral, then they are really sad.
They're toast. French toast, as it were.
Other than that, if you're playing a more powerful civ like the Americans or the Romans or the Chinese, just build a lot of cities and get way ahead, really. I mean, it's always a good idea to build some armies and try to go press your enemy and just make life difficult. And even two players of equal strength, if one has French and the other one has the Chinese and they're both just trying to expand in tech, the Chinese is just going to go way ahead. The French guy's not going to be able to keep up.
I will say for a single player though, the French AI on Deity is surprisingly strong compared to other AIs.
It builds the hanging gardens early a lot of the time.
They build lots of wonders really fast, almost in an impossible way. And they're actually really good techers with the AI. They sometimes have a better secret count or tech count than I have at certain points in the game as far as how I use the French. I'm usually shocked by how well the French do control my computer.
Elthrash, you kind of brought up something interesting, and is that you're real dismissive of the French because if you go after their cathedral, fill in the blank. But if you're playing against Grayson, and Grayson has the French, Grayson, what are you going to do as a French civilization to combat somebody like Elthrasher who's going to attack you in that manner? What do you have? We talked about how to play the French as the offense, but that's general play. We're talking about two of the elite players online here. What are you going to do against somebody like Elthrasher who's going to come that straight for you?
Well, for realistic online,
What do the French have realistically online to try and combat this?
if I'm playing a really good player, and say Elthrasher is any civ that is better than the French, which is a lot of civs, or if he's like the Chinese or the Romans,
Right.
I'm going to come right back at him. If I see that I'm not going to win a long game against him most of the time, I'm going to try to form a horse army or try to get some units on a galley and go his way. But if that doesn't look possible, if it looks like I'm just going to break the bank for nothing and I'm risking all this stuff, I'm going to look out for spies. I'm going to have lookouts. Before you get writing, you can't even build a spy to defend your cathedral. Try to have that go on. I've actually seen spies coming before, and I surrounded Paris with archers all the way around it. I was ahead in that game, and I could afford to do that.
It's actually not that hard to intercept a spy if you have a few different units to do it and the spy isn't escorted, because if you get on a diagonal and the spy is going to have to walk past you to get to Paris, then you can position your units so that spy is going to get 2 movement.
Right.
It can't reach Paris in 2 moves, and it's going to have to end its turn next to one of your units, and then you just take it.
The other thing I want to mention is I'm going to hope for a lot of great artists. So he can build some cities, and I'll flip them my way. I mean, I know Elthrasher would be so stupid and put a settler down right next to Paris.
I build a road to it, and down the road comes 10 Legion armies.
Yeah. Basically what I want to do is I would hold on to the great artist and try to find some of his settled cities and wait for him to settle some that I can see and flip those cities. And then just kind of hope for good, great people. The other thing I would say is cannons can be used from boats pretty well. That's one thing I do try to use against. Even the best players don't defend their islands well. They defend their fronts really well, as far as the border cities and everything else, where they're getting a lot of pressure. If you put some units on a boat, kind of sneak up on them, lots of times you can attack the cannon or catapults from a ship and take out their archer or warrior or whatever they're shooting.
Siege units like cannons, catapults, and artillery are the siege units. Do better when attacking from a ship because one of the 2 penalties you get? You get attacking across a river when you're attacking from a boat, which doesn't really make sense because you're in the middle of the ocean, there aren't any rivers. But if you're using a siege unit like cannons, then you don't get that river penalty. So you get minus 50%. Otherwise, it's like minus 50% twice or something. That's a good use for cannons. You'll do better with cannons than tanks that way, probably.
But otherwise, I would just pray for a lot of luck.
Thanks to Jesus. So I'm even hesitant to say this French civilization, great civilization or greatest civilization? No, neither. Have we run the French basically into the ground?
Yeah, I guess so.
Pretty much. Maybe we should cut them some slack.
Yeah.
I like playing them. I'll say that.
I enjoy it too.
It's really a thrill if you start a game with the French and you're up against like Americans and Chinese, and at some point in the game you realize, hey, I'm going to win this game. That is so much more fun than playing the Chinese and realizing that you won the game as soon as you pick the Chinese.
Oh, yeah. So the French are their own handicap now, and it's basically the expert handicap is to play as the French. Wow.
There could be some super secret strategy. We've been trying to find it.
Yeah.
Working together on the forums a lot to try to find some good strategies for them. Sometimes there's stuff we overlook as far as the CivRev community on the forums, but pretty much the best things we've come up with is the great builder start.
I'm open to the idea that people could refine that a little bit and try to figure out how to reliably influence the next great people. And I think that if you could, with the French, have an okay start and manage to somehow choose your first 3 great people, I think that then they could be pretty good. The problem is that you might be able to pick that first great person and you might get something good out of it. Getting the Colossus in like a city with fish or something like that, that's going to maybe put you on the level with the Chinese for now. But really, if someone expands a lot, Colossus isn't really going to matter. But if you can then go and get navigation quickly because you have the Colossus, and then you can have another great builder by then and get the East India Trading Company, then I think that you're getting into the realm of a Civ that can do some cool stuff.
It'd be good if they could have the Colossus and East India.
Yes. Touche.
Well, we're definitely going to have to decide on a much stronger Civ or a more middle-of-the-road Civ for the next one.
Yeah.
Sure.
Hey, email us and tell us what Civ you want to hear. That didn't work. Hey, Jesus, email us and tell us what Civ you want to hear. You have been listening to RevCast. I'm regular co-host Joe B. Reeves, and I was joined by Grayson.
See you later.
And El Thrasher.
Adieu.
And Napoleon Bonaparte.
Au revoir.
Au revoir, there we go.
For more information about RevCast, sibling shows Polycast and Modcast, or about Polycast in general, log into the series' official website, polycast.net. Record date November 22nd, 2009.
Civilization Revolution Sounds Clips, copyright Take-Two Interactive.
Copyright 2009, Civilized Communication at civcom.net.